Hey guys, welcome to Brush Up with Braun, brought to you by Braun's Painting Network. I am your host, Steve Braun, and this is the inaugural episode of this new podcast series titled Brush Up with Braun, which is a show dedicated to all things residential painting and related home improvement and business topics. Now, I put emphasis on residential so I could differentiate for all you Bob Ross fans out there. I am sorry, but you are in the wrong place. We will not be talking about painting mountains and rivers and rainbows on canvas. This is a show about house painting. And unfortunately, I do not have a legendary man perm. As cool as that would be, I feel like that would be a huge marketing differentiator for me to get this podcast off the ground if I did have a man perm. But I suspect my wife would not be on board with that plan. So, alas, if you're watching the video stream, I will just be rocking my bronze painting hat. And if you're wondering, yes, I do have a full head of hair under here. It's holding up pretty good, I must say, for a guy in my 40s. But to be honest, I'm not even sure if I deserve a full head of hair. The amount of times that I have worn a hat over the years, I am just kind of institutionalized by my hat. And now that I have a job to where I can wear a hat whenever I want, I just kind of roll with it. You'd think all my hair would be weathered away and worn away by my hat all these years, but no, it's still here. And I feel bad because I have a lot of my buddies. They kind of have some serious Larry David vibes going on with all the hair loss. And I can see some of that resentment in their eyes when I show up and I got my hat covered up my full head of hair. But what can I say? What's even one of the most shocking aspects of the fact that I have hair is my father was like the poster child for male pattern baldness. Like he was the prototype for 1970s, 1980s comb over guy. I mean, if you coached team comb over, you were gonna build around my dad. That's how impressive his comb over was. It was like the perfect amount of low density hair volume. We used VO5 hair gel to kind of slick it up and pull it over. You could see that kind of golden dome going through. It was epic. And then, of course, that was the time, of course, he would cap it off with like Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. And then half the time he'd be wearing his green mechanics jumpsuit. So he definitely had an appearance at times. In today's world, like he would probably show up and like scramble a playground of women and children the way that things are today. But I tease my dad. I love my father. Rest in peace, Dad. He's no longer with us. But I think of that jumpsuit and that mechanic suit that my dad would wear, and he was just that type of guy. It was all about working with his hands. He was a major work ethic guy. He was the type of guy that would work all day and then he would come home and he would solve all the problems that we had in the house. He was kind of that jack of all trades, master of none. There wasn't anything in the home that if it occurred, my father wasn't going to tackle and address and solve. Now, he didn't always finish everything. Like he might have left some things three-quarters of the way done or whatever. But the point is he would tackle everything very hands-on, very mechanically inclined. And he raised six boys somehow, of course, along with the help of my amazing mother. But I think about my dad all the time, and I'm so grateful for all the work ethic that he instilled on me and the whole concept of working with your hands, especially in the home. So, if this intro wasn't obvious enough, I am Steve Braun, and I do not have a background as a professional broadcaster. Real shocking, right? Although I will say that I do have 9 credits of broadcasting course material at the great Oswego State University, where, dare I say, the great Al Roker went. We have Linda Cohn from ESPN and Steve Levy from ESPN all went to Oswego State. We even take credit for Jerry Seinfeld, even though I think he showed up for like a semester and bailed. But regardless, hey, maybe, just maybe, I'm going to be the next after Al Roker. Could you imagine it? Somehow, I think that's probably not going to happen. But hey, I did 9 credits. I learned a little bit. So maybe I can put that to good use now and produce a halfway decent podcast for you guys. I did go to school for broadcasting. I think my high school English teacher told me one day that I had a voice for radio. So I was like, okay, then I'll go do that. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But then I got to college and I started doing research and I saw you made about 18K a year to start off in broadcasting. And I bailed on that as quick as I could. But hey, here I am today. And this podcast, I have is something that I've been trying to get off the ground for a long time. I've been wanting to do it for years. And thankfully, the timing is finally right. I will constantly be striving to improve the quality of the show, whether it's the video stream or the audio quality and my presentation skills. I have done quite a bit of test runs for this podcast, and it never seems like I'll be prepared enough to do this. But wow, is it actually pretty difficult? I have a newfound respect for anybody that does do broadcasting or some other type of delivery or presentation for a living. It is very difficult. I've had a lot of different kind of technology glitches. I've had my computer shut off because I forgot to have it plugged in. I've had my phone and emails chime in and go off. I've had guys outside my window weed eating unexpectedly. So there's been a million different things that have been interruptions and that I've learned for and now will hopefully be better prepared for. And then also my own personal performance. Like, yeah, I kind of have like the gift of gab a little bit, but I couldn't believe how bad I was. I'm going to be quite honest with you. When I went back and would watch how many times I would use filler words like, but, such as, I was like, wow, I have a lot of work to do. So now I'm not saying, I'm probably still going to be saying these things. And I just hope that with all my test runs, I'm not going to be as bad and that I will be a little bit more conscious about my delivery, maybe try to slow my pace or maybe just not be so rushed. Try to be better prepared as I deliver these so that I'm not, bumbling and stumbling. I definitely had some serious Porky Pig moments with verbal breakdowns and everything else. So I hope that I will be able to hold up my end of the bargain as a host and deliver a decent show. I do have this cool feature on my podcast gear. So, like, if I say, but, then hopefully I'll catch it and I'll do the fake slap thing. And maybe that will keep me in a line and allow me to perform a little bit better. But so, brush up with Braun. What is this all about? Well, what's in this introductory episode? I want to talk about what is Braun's painting network and what we're doing with that initiative. What are the content goals of Brush Up with Braun, which is this specific podcast? Who are the types of guests that we will have on this show? I want to talk about who is the target audience of this show. What is the show format and schedule? And then give you a little bit of information about who I am and what is my background and experience in the painting trade and in business in general. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is what are the upcoming episodes of season one so you know what to expect. So, what is Braun's Painting Network? Brush Up with Braun, brought to you by Braun's Painting Network. Well, the motto at Braun's Painting Network is we want to motivate, train, and entertain related to all things residential painting. Basically, it is an extension of our residential painting service, which I founded and own in Camillus, New York, which is called Braun's Painting. Braun's Painting Network is going to allow us to extend our reach beyond our local market, our geographical borders, and whatever capacity limitations we have. We're going to be able to bring more value to more people. And we're going to do that through digital media, online, various forms of media. And so, what is the content that makes up Braun's Painting Network? Well, it's our YouTube page, is the heart of it, where we create long form and short form video content. So you could go to YouTube where this podcast is hosted. It's called Braun's Painting Network. And not only do we have the various forms of video content, but we will host this podcast. And then we also have a blog hosted on our website, bronzepainting.com, that supports our initiatives here at Braun's Painting Network. And we have a developing and hopefully growing social media presence on both Instagram and Facebook, where we will share a lot of our short, real, short form video content and other types of graphical information to support the overall initiatives we have at Bronze Painting Network. So ultimately, what are we trying to do? What are our goals? Well, going back to our motto, we want to motivate, train, and entertain. We want to motivate you to have painting projects done, either as a do it yourself project or by hiring a great contractor to help you. We want to motivate you to possibly work in the painting trade. We want to motivate you as a current or prospective painting contractor or other business owner to take the next step, to take the plunge into being a business owner or to grow your business or to expand and grow what you're currently doing. Then we want to train and educate our listeners on all things related to residential painting and related home improvements and business. We want to help DIYers, we want to help painters, business owners, and we want to continue to learn ourselves and get better. That's an important point there. This is not a know it all situation. My wife might think I think I'm a know-it-all, but the reality is I'm still in the field, in the trade, trying to get better myself on a daily basis. And we want to learn as well. And I think by engaging with this type of content and with our guests and experts in the field, we're really excited to grow and improve ourselves and really hope that we're going to make impact on a lot of different types of people. The other thing that we want to do is we want to entertain you. And there's a lot of ways to do that. We want to entertain through education, but also by making you laugh or at least maybe get a smirk out of you on occasion. Now, I love to laugh. I love making others laugh. I'm a big fan of comedy and comedians. And just to be clear, I am not a comedian. I don't think I'm that funny, but I think maybe I'm somewhat funny. And I have a background in humor writing and just really enjoy that whole aspect of making people laugh. So the whole idea of having a sense of humor will always be a part of what we do at Bronze Painting Network. And you will see humor sprinkled into all of our content, whether it's motivational, educational. But there are times where we flat out just try to make comedy videos. We have a concept that I refer to as painter comedy. I don't know. Do I have a patent on that? Is there other painter comedy out there? I know it might be hard to believe because, like, what are we gonna watch paint dry? Like, that is notoriously the most boring thing in the world, as they say. But it turns out that a lot of the concepts and content and material around residential painting and home improvements is actually very funny, and we can create some really humorous, laughable content that is still relevant to the painting trade. I'd recommend, if you haven't already seen these, to go to Bronze Painting Network. We have a playlist for our painter comedy videos, and there's two in particular. Go watch our one title. It's a Rescue 911. It's basically a spoof of Rescue 911 about professional painters interacting and kind of rescuing and intervening on a DIYer. And it's about a 4 or 5 minute video, probably one of our most, viewed videos that we've ever done. At the time, it was done just as a promotional video for my painting business, but it's very much at the core of what we're going to be doing on Bronze Painting Network as it relates to comedy videos. We also have recently done a video that is a pharmaceutical spoof. Recently, a couple of months ago, while I was working, I was just inundated with commercials as I was listening to music with different pharmaceutical ads, and I just cannot get over how they go to market and the way that they advertise. They spend, the first about 10-15 seconds telling you how great this pill is and all the great things it's going to do, but then the rest of the time is warning you and telling you how awful all these awful things that are going to happen to you and these terrible symptoms and you might die. And it's like, well, why? I don't want to use that. Like, why would I want to even try that with all these horrible things that are said? So after hearing that a million times that day, I said, man, I just came up with this idea about what if a painting company marketed themselves that way. And so I'll leave it at that. If you have any interest, definitely go check out Bronze Painting Network and look at some of our comedy videos. But, listen, that is, we're certainly able to get serious. and, knock off the nonsense sometimes and get right to the point and educate people. And we have content that we're really excited about on Braun's Painting Network that's going to be very much, visual, long form how to content where we are getting into the nuts and bolts of the painting trade and providing a lot of information on how we do a lot of the things that we do as far as, procedures and processes, skills that we have, materials, products, tools that are being used. So it's going to be very informative. We might try to get a chuckle here and there, but at the end of the day, it's about educating people. And this series is called the Paint Trainer series. Again, we do have a playlist on our Braun's Painting Network YouTube page where you can go and find these videos. It's very early. We only have a couple of them so far, but it's a big part of what we're going to be doing in 2024. And we have a production schedule that's very much on the horizon. And I expect to get out quite a few videos over the course of the year. And for that to be one of the most important things that we do at Braun's Painting. Okay, so now that you got a little bit of idea about Braun's Painting Network, let's talk specifically about this podcast and what are content goals for Brush Up with Braun. Well, which is obvious, this is a podcast, so it's an audio first medium, so it will not be a visual how-to presentation. It's going to be more of a high-level discussion, philosophical discussions that we can use to bring knowledge to our audience and listeners where when people are not in situations to watch or view. So when you're driving a vehicle, maybe on the treadmill, doing laundry, those types of scenarios, we want to provide different ways to connect with our audience. Some of the content that we will be discussing, the business of residential painting to help contractors and prospective contractors and arm them with more knowledge. We want to have high-level educational value on trade topics, trends, equipment, products, and tools. We want to have inspiration for home improvement and design. And we want to offer insights and transparency for homeowners to help the consumer and contractor relationship and just to make it easier for homeowners to make really good decisions when working with contractors or to just arm them with the knowledge to do their own projects. One thing that is important to know is that this show will be intended to be very guest heavy. The first season is going to be conducted solo by me. And really, the biggest reason for that is so that I can iron out all the bugs that I talked about as far as my own abilities, technological glitches, and things of that nature, so that when we bring in great guests, we are not wasting their time and bumbling around. So, what are the types of guests that we're going to be having on this show? Well, of course, we'll have other painters on the show, various types of contractors and tradesmen. I'm excited about having designers and project consultants on the show, especially people with a background and interest in color. Going to have supplier reps and manufacturers reps. So people that have a lot of different types of certifications and backgrounds and, with the very products that we use on a daily basis. We're going to even consider having homeowners themselves come in and other types of professionals that could make an impact on the painting trade and home improvements. I'm thinking of people like real estate professionals, insurance agents, business lawyers who have backgrounds in business formation and consumer law, and also people with technology backgrounds. The amount of technology that we need to use in operating our business is substantial. And I think that there's a lot to be learned and discussed as it relates to technology and using technology to operate a successful home improvement a home improvement business. So our goal is ultimately to bring in people with various backgrounds, credentials, certifications, and experiences to make it a very well-rounded and informative show. Certainly, we don't want to listen to me all the time, so bringing in this type of expert, I am personally excited about because not only for the audience, but I'm excited about all the new things that I'm going to learn over the course of doing this show. So, who is the target audience then? Well, basically, all those same people that I just talked about could be guests. I feel like they are also the audience, but the especially homeowners If you own a home, I think that this show is going to bring great value to you, both from a DIY perspective. And then also, if you're considering hiring a contractor to help you, either scenario, we expect that this show is going to help. This show is also going to be for business owners or people interested in potentially owning their own business or starting their own business. And ultimately, any home improvement pro, I think, will get value out of this show. What is going to be the format and the schedule of the show? At least initially, my intention is to provide the show in fully completed seasons and release them all at the same time once they are produced. This first season will be 6 episodes, and I expect that future seasons are going to be very similar to that. And I'm expecting to roll them out in just like the actual seasons of the year. So this first season is going to be released this spring in 2024, and then we're going to have a summer season that we will release either in late June or July, and then we will have a fall season and then a winter season, and then we'll see how that everything transpires and how it unfolds from there. But that will be our goal. We are going to host the podcast on our YouTube page, Bronze Painting Network, and that will be the initial release. And we will also be working on expanding it to other podcast platforms so that we can get more reach from our audience. But we're going to start on YouTube, and it will always be on our YouTube page, and we will take it from there. So, what is my background as the host, Steve Braun? Well, I am a current and active business owner of Bronze Painting, and I'm a professional painting contractor. I started the business back in 2015 as a sole proprietor initially. I am the original founder, and I'm in my ninth year in business, operating it as an LLC. I am the sole member owner of Bronze Painting LLC, and I am very much still trying to learn and grow the business. And I still don't feel like Bronze Painting has achieved what my ultimate vision for it is, but it's a good solid business. We have plenty to be proud of, and we got a lot of good things going, but we're still very much in the middle of our development. So I am not some guru that, created this you know, multi-million dollar, you know, an 8, 9, 10 figure business that I sold for a ton of money. And now I'm here to tell you how great everything was. I am still in the field, actively working. My role in the company, of course, is very strategic, but I am also actively involved in the business. I'm heavily involved in the sales and marketing of the business, as this podcast and Bronze Painting Network might suggest. I am the ultimately the estimator for my company, and I do a lot of project management work. And I ultimately, a lot of my attention is also just on the leadership and development within my organization. And I even still have plenty of oversight into a lot of the administrative functions of the business. So I guess what they would say is that I don't own a business, I own a job, is what a lot of the online gurus like to say. They're always trying to convince you need to pass off every aspect of your business and go, sip martinis on the beach all day long, I guess. But I'm not there yet. I'm always working on trying to improve the business and systemizing the business and empowering other people within my business as much as possible. But I am still very much in it, as they say, on a day to day basis. Some other notes about my background is I've done a lot of different things before I started my business. And I want to emphasize that I have worked as a painting employee in my early days while I went to college. So I know I didn't just come out of nowhere to own a painting business. I have been a lower wage employee, not only as a painter, but of course in high school and throughout college, I had any number of different types of jobs. I know what minimum wage. I know what it's like to earn minimum wage. My first job paid 450, and I remember how big of a deal it was when I got another job making $550 an hour. But all those types of retail jobs and store jobs, landscaping, working in an apartment complex. I worked assembling furniture at a warehouse. I worked at a tile and carpet store. So done a lot of different types of very much entry level jobs as a young man. I am college educated. My first major job out of college was to work as a representative for PPG as a paint and stain rep. So that was my first dabble into kind of corporate America, a little bit more of a white collar job. And it was a great background to learn about products and really understand what what these manufacturers do, a lot of features and benefits information on the products that are related to the residential painting trade. I ultimately moved from that job to work for Pella Corporation, which is a really well respected and well known American made window manufacturer. I had a nice long career with them for 7, 8 years where I just learned a lot about business and customer service and sales and marketing, and just kind of grew up in that company, honestly, throughout my 20s and into my early 30s, and made a career change just because really it was more about how much travel I was doing once I got to a certain point and wanted to be home more with my family. So I even have some crossover experience doing business to business sales, working for a Xerox affiliated company selling basically office equipment and technology solutions. And that was awesome. Really got to learn a lot about the sales process and complicated sales and business to business. Very much a different world I'm in now. With I was wearing a hey, what I said, so let me do this. I don't Was that the first time I said, probably not, but that's the first time that I caught myself today. But that was very much a different white collar type of job, and I learned a lot. So I have a very kind of diverse background, I guess you could say, that put me in position and allowed me to have the confidence in some of the skills and wherewithal, and really did a nice job preparing me to become a business owner and start my own business. So, what are the upcoming episodes for season one of Brush Up with Braun? Well, episode two is going to be, what does it mean? What are some thoughts about taking on a residential painting do it yourself project? Episode three is going to be, well, what if you don't want to DIY, but you want to consider hiring a painting contractor? What do you need to know about that? We're going to have a great discussion there and try to offer some transparency to all you homeowners out there. Episode four is going to take it a little step further and help you understand value and pricing of a painting contractor, so that that big question everybody asks, what is a reasonable price? That episode is going to attempt to help you understand exactly what a reasonable price might look like. Episode five is going to be all about working as a painter, more from an employee perspective. What are some of the things you might want to know if you are considering a career change, or you want to consider a career change, or know more about working as a professional residential painter? And then our final episode of season one, episode six, is going to be, what about becoming a painting contractor? Are you interested in that? A lot of people are very interested and want to learn more about becoming a business owner. So if you have that interest, and honestly, whether it's painting or not, I think this could still be a good episode for you. Going to talk about some of the most important things I would want you to know before you take the plunge and dive into being a business owner or a professional painting contractor and going out on your own. So that's what we have for you. Thank you so much for listening to this introductory episode. If you think this is content that you might be interested in and you would like to help out Brush Up with Braun, then the best way you can do that is by subscribing to our YouTube page and hitting the bell for notifications when we create new content. And if you think there's anybody in your life that might be interested in what we do, please share it to them and ask them to subscribe to our page. That will be the best way for our page in this podcast to grow and gain credibility and get new listeners. And that will allow us to continue to produce a great, relevant residential painting podcast for our listeners. So happy painting, and I can't wait to see you on episode two. Thank you.